I hope you can see me a little bit better here. Let's see. My name is Deanna and PeachyPathfinder, and welcome to REGGIRT. Now, I would have been on a few minutes earlier, but something was revealed to me by Spirit that I was suspicious of, and welcome to the person who came in. Something was revealed to me that I was suspicious of, and Spirit confirmed it to me, and I want to thank Spirit so much for showing this to me, because now I know I'm not paranoid. And wait a minute. Okay, that I'm not paranoid. Now, to my Facebook people, I had a little bit of trouble with transmission, so I'm going to go ahead and just re-upload this live after I finish. I'm working on some new streaming software where I come stream on multiple devices, and for some reason or another, I couldn't get the accounts to connect the right way, so I've got to get support to help me with that. So hopefully by next week, I'll be able to stream on all devices. Thank you for your support on Facebook. We're slowly growing there, and I appreciate everyone who views the posts. I'm trying to modify the page the best I can, have it as full as possible, and I just thank you for your support on that. I want to also, my TikTok people, we passed 1,000, and I haven't been on there for a month, and I just want to thank you so much. I really do. I want to thank you so much about that, for that. Of course, there are certain requirements for me in order to do certain things on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to attempt a live on TikTok today, see how well I can do that while I'm preparing supper for my housemate. So with that being said, I'm truly grateful for everything that you've done. You don't have to listen to me. I mean, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not anybody famous on your newspapers. I'm just a woman who went through some things and wanted to share her life lessons along with you guys. And I'm just so grateful, so grateful. So I have a lot to cover today. This week, if you've noticed my community posts, there were two things that I posted. And the first thing that I posted is that we're going to do a weekly recap of the videos that I posted this week. For those of you who decided to share, like, comment on the videos, I thank you so much. I think I'm going to do this weekly recap once a month, just to kind of give the new people who come in an idea of what kind of content I have. Just a sneak peek, not going to go into detail because you're going to have to watch the videos. On TikTok, my content is not the same as YouTube, because YouTube allows for more long form content. TikTok is more like catchphrases and sayings that either Spirit gives to me, or some of the old sayings that your mom and your grandma used to say set to music. They're usually no more than about 15 seconds long, if that, but I hope you enjoy them. I post them daily. I was doing it twice a day, but I noticed that that was a little bit too much for my workload, having to deal with this channel and Facebook, trying to build Facebook up. It was a little bit too much, so I'm only going to be doing it once a day. So I hope that doesn't upset anyone. You guys know the rules in regards to being a part of the community here, and we are growing a community. I mean, we are. And, it's just to be respectful of other people, because the type of energy that we have here is of that of unity and collectiveness. We have a real life conversation, and we talk about psychological concepts, mental concepts, business, family, life. And I understand that this is global. So I need for you to understand it as global. So someone may not have the same perspective as you have just because you live in a certain location. All of these platforms are global. And I noticed that a lot of my people, even though the U.S. is represented, however, they're not number one. The two biggest areas that I receive a lot of my support from is from the continent of Asia and the continent of South America, Central and South America. And I want to thank you so much for providing me with that support. Even though sometimes you guys might say hello to me on TikTok and I'll respond to you, I have to do a graphic because I don't know your language. And I really don't have time during the day to do Google Translate. To give you a background, I do have a full-time job. In addition to this is kind of like my labor of love, my purpose. And I'm truly grateful for everything that you've done. And I'm in the second part of my life right now where time and energy are the most valuable things in my life. And if I'm looking down, you have to understand I have multiple devices going on right now. Um, but we're constantly growing as a collective. And sometimes I'll address current events, which I'm going to mention a couple of them that occurred this week, in addition to some other things. So this is just me giving, just putting my face to the video, so to speak. If you watch some of my videos, they are faceless. They're nature scenes. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to have anything too stimulating to you to the point where you're distracted by what I have to say. Okay, so I hope some of you get that. That was, again, something that Spirit told me to do. So I ask that, you just be respectful of each other's opinions in the comments, be respectful of me. It's not going to be tolerated if anybody can't be respectful, because first of all, you're in the wrong energy to be here. Maybe you need to take some time out, go somewhere else to another platform. We don't allow for any messiness here because there's enough messiness out there in the world as it is. This is a safe place, but this is also a place of honesty and a place of truth. Nobody's perfect, I understand that, but we're not going to tolerate any disrespect. This applies to all my platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Nobody's going to be bullied into communicating with anybody, because I've run into that, unfortunately, on my TikTok. And those people obviously do not know my background. And I noticed that a lot of those same people who are demanding my attention, some of them, they haven't even subbed to my channel. They haven't watched my videos. They haven't shared. They haven't followed. They haven't done anything. And for those of you who watched my lives previously, I gave a background as to who I am. And in a lot of my videos, I refer to my lifestyle when I'm trying to put across a point. So you do understand. But then you have the random strangers who just, they're narcissistic, they're low self-esteem, and they just want to push people around, and that's not going to be tolerated. You will be blocked, and if I feel that your behavior is inflammatory, you will be reported. And, and I'll let TikTok or Facebook or YouTube handle it from there. Okay? So let me go on to the next order of business before I get into the recap, because the recap is going to take a while, of course. I mentioned last week about a giveaway that I have decided, instead of offering 2 options, because I did up some votes, I did more meditation and prayer, and I have officially decided that I am going to do a monthly 100 Visa card giveaway. I mentioned a little bit about it last week, and I've already prepared a video. It's maybe just a minute or so long, that outlines the terms and conditions, eligibility requirements, which are very, very simple. And that will air next Sunday morning after midnight. So I'm going to have 2 videos air on my channel. Of course, my daily motivational, but also keep an eye out for the sweepstakes giveaway, the gift card giveaway, shortly after midnight on Sunday, the 15th of September. Now, it's not going to be just one gift card across all platforms. There's going to be 1 gift card for my YouTube, 1 gift card for my Facebook, and 1 gift card for my TikTok. So we're talking about a $100 Visa giveaway on each one of the platforms, okay? And I do that for a reason, because I understand that some people are exclusive to a certain sort of social media outlet because that works for them. And even though I do welcome you, joining, I understand that. But to me, support is support no matter where it comes from. And I feel that that should be recognized. And it's my way of giving back to you for supporting me, okay? Again, it's going to start on the 15th of each month, and it's going to end on the 14th of the following month. And it's going to be trivia based. And I'm not going to tell everything, because you're going to have to watch the video. But it's going to be trivia based, where I'm going to pose a question based on my platform. It could be a video, it could be a live, it could be a comment that I make. It's a trivia question, and all of the people who email me, okay, email me only, email me to PeachyPathfinder@gmail.com or REGGIRT@myyahoo.com. If you email me the correct answer by the deadline, which would be 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 14th of the following month, that's the deadline for the giveaway. all the correct entries, and there's only one entry per person per user, okay? Multiple entries per user will not be accepted because of fairness. All of the correct names are going to be placed in an online raffle. Online raffle. Help me, Spirit. And I will do a special live on the 15th, regardless of what day it is, on the 15th, and I will be doing a random pick of the numbers. I will place them in a online drawing, and I will show that drawing while I'm doing the live, so everything is up and up. And the person, among the correct entries will receive the gift card. Okay. Now, as we grow, I've decided that once we reach certain milestones in subscribership and fellowship, that I will increase the amount of the gift card. But as of right now and throughout 2025, it is going to be $100 per month. And like I said, it's just my way of giving back to you because you gave to me, helping me spread the messages, helping me develop awareness, helping you with self-improvement, your relationship with other people. And these are strictly based on my lessons. I do not talk about things I don't know anything about. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk about the 7 different videos that we did this week. And again, I thank you very much for your support in regards to that. And I've got to look down because I had to write these down and I got some notes, okay? So last Sunday, which is the 1st of September, we released a video called Setting Borders with Family. Now, I know this is a sensitive subject because in some cultures, certain people in the family have certain levels of leadership, and I do understand that. However, it is okay to respect the leadership role, but you do have to set boundaries in regards to everyone in your life because you have to establish how you want people to treat you. And this is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way in life. I kept wondering how come I was being treated a certain way negatively all of the time. And it was because I did not set boundaries with certain people. And I didn't set boundaries with certain people because of their position in my life, in the family, in the dynamic in my life. They could be a person that helps provide for me financially. And I've given them too much room in my life to overstep their boundaries. Even if a person does something for you, remember this. If you're in a position where you're beholden to someone because you need something from them, and understand, in your mind, you already have an idea you're going to level up, but we all come to points in life where we need that help. We become, and that person is providing us what's missing. There is no reason for you to allow them to run rampant in your life. Okay? Because there are some people who will do that for the sole purpose of trying to control others. They will act like they're being generous. They will act like they care. They will act like they love you and everything else. And they do that not because they truly feel that way. It's because their self-esteem is so low, they don't feel validated unless they control other people. When in truth, they need to control their own behavior. So I kind of hope that I kind of hope that clarifies, what I mean by that. So you got to set borders with people. And I see that a lot in life because, I have people who help me all the time, and I in turn help them. So when I help other people, I don't do it because I want something in return. I do it because I am thankful to the Spirit that I have the resources to help that person, because once upon a time that person was me. I don't forget where I come from. I don't forget who I am as a person. So keep that in mind. You got to set borders with everyone in your life in regards to what your deal breakers are. You have to. You have to. And so I ask that, just keep that in mind with that. And thanks to those of you who are sharing the videos, try to implement that in your life if you feel like you're being mistreated or breadcrumbed or whatever the case may be. And yes, I'm doing my juice with my herbs this morning. Got to do it. And keep that in mind, because it will be a blessing to you, because you're going to start seeing things change in your life. Doors and opportunities are going to start opening to you. And thank you for the person who came in. And doors are going to be open to you. They really are. because you have changed your focus, you've changed your energy, and because of that, you're being blessed because you've changed your outlook on life. So setting borders, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let society make you feel like you're the bad guy because you set boundaries. Setting boundaries is one of the keys to discipline. One of the keys to success is setting boundaries. Speak to the most successful people, and they talk about the level of discipline that they have because they set boundaries in regards to certain aspects of their life. So that was Sunday's video for last week, and of course it's listed on my page in the event that you have not read it. Not viewed it. Boy, Spirit, I got too much going on in my mind this morning. I apologize. And unfortunately, family members, that's usually the dynamic because we were taught by tradition or culture or religion or whatever it is that, that family is involved in. For generations, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to let that person act crazy as much as they want in regard, even if it hurts you. And you have to sit there and just dumb yourself down or numb yourself to the situation because that's what that's what grandma told you, mama told you, or whoever the case may be. But deep down, this is wrong. So you got to set some boundaries on how you deal with that person. And a couple of ways that I do it, depending on the person's personality, because this is where discernment comes in. Depending on the person's personality, and I do apologize, my eye's been jumping for the past 2 days. So I'm wondering if that's a sign or just, I don't know. Is number one, slowly distance yourself. Allow less access. Don't call as much. Don't visit as much. Occupy your time with something else, somebody else, somewhere else. Just occupy your time. Pull back your energy. 9 times out of 10, these people are so self-absorbed they won't even know that they won't even pay any attention to it anyway. And if they do, they'll have a negative attitude about it because they're not as spiritually aware as you are. And I hate to sound conceited by saying that, but the truth is the truth. I have to tell the truth, and I'm not saying this because I want you to get all gassed up and think that you're better than someone else. No, it's just that they have not received the spiritual insight that you have. So they are living in that blindness that you are attacking them, and you're not. You're protecting yourself. Okay? There's a difference. Just because you protect yourself does not mean it's an attack on other people, and a lot of people don't get that. They don't get that at all. So I kind of hope that helps you. Okay, that's number one. Number two was Monday. And that tied into, and the reason why I set this, I did this itinerary a certain way because that video on Sunday helped you with the video on Monday, which was about familial rank. And I know that this was a serious one that probably attacked some people as well, because I think I make reference in that video, if I'm not mistaken, to the Godfather, the Corleones, about Sonny, who was the oldest son, but because he was a bad Don, and even his father said so in the movie, that he was a bad Don because, he had a fly temper, his people skills weren't that great. He had this fanatical type of attitude dealing with things, and he met his demise as a result of it. The second brother, which was the next oldest, was Fredo. Fredo was kind of happy-go-lucky, but Fredo, even though he was intelligent, he had some issues that, some unresolved issues. He wasn't self-aware. He just didn't have the strong leadership skills that was needed to run a whole family. And in the second part, that situation comes to a head. I'm not going to go into the whole trilogy because I want you guys to watch it. There's a lot of life lessons in those movies. And then the baby boy was Michael, and Michael turned out to be the one who turned out to be the godfather. And in the beginning, he was trying to right the wrongs. He talked throughout the whole time, his whole lifetime, about being legitimate, being legitimate, being legitimate. But the problem is he didn't have an example on how to do that. And because of that, he was just dealing with things the best way he could until he was pushed up against the wall. And eventually he had to wind up using some of the old ways and the old techniques that were taught to him, of course, which resulted in a lot of death and carnage. And he became power hungry as a result of it throughout the trilogy, and he lost a lot of very valuable relationships. His wife, his children, that tried to repair relationships that he damaged with his sister. Eventually she wound up coming to his side, but she was not the innocent person. She was quite damaged by that time emotionally. So it was just a lot going on. So that's why I said, why I said it where, you got to set borders with family when you're dealing with familial rank. It's a dynamic that's not really necessary because, we all know that the top is spirit. Spirit is the top no matter what. No matter what your family says, anything else. And there are going to be things that happen in your life no matter how tight-knit your family is. It's going to be an experience exclusive to you that family can't do anything about. They can't have any input on. They can't influence you. It's going to be just you and spirit. Every person in life is going to encounter that period in time in their life. And thank you to the person who came in. Every person in life is going to encounter where it's just going to be them in spirit. That situation is going to come at some point in time. So being influenced by a certain person in the family is really not helpful to you, because if you become dependent on them in some way, form, or fashion, you're not going to be able to deal with that issue when it does come up where you have to be alone with spirit and you have to come out of it. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why I discussed that. Now, that was Monday. That was familial rank. And again, if you haven't had a chance to review it, please feel free to do so. It's on my channel lineup. That leads into the other subject on Tuesday that I brought up. It was called Knowledge and Generational Curses. This addresses limiting beliefs. And this is, again, because of religion or traditions or things like that. This is a great big world, people. And there are people from different lifestyles and everything else. The reason why we deal with races and those type of things is because the people who are the perpetrators of such behaviors, because they simply do not understand the differences, don't want to accept the differences, and they were trained to believe because they're limiting beliefs that anything different is wrong. And this applies to everybody. My culture, anybody's culture. If you were raised with limiting beliefs, anything different that comes along, once you go out into the world, you perceive it as wrong. And most of you do it is because you're confused or you don't want to gain any knowledge on it. But you have to be careful with that, because the number one reason is that that person that you are exercising those limiting beliefs on could be a blessing in your life, some way, form, or fashion. You may not see it now, but it may happen. So that's knowledge and generational curses. Please review that one. Very important, because you might be the one who breaks the curse and brings some light to the family, because they were living in darkness for so long. Wednesday, the helper's back up. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I don't believe in obliging anybody's deathbed confessions. You guys hear it all the time, and you've probably gone through it. Somebody passes away, and the first thing they want to do is get the family together, and they want to tell everybody, oh, well, I wish you would do this after I die. I wish you would do that after I die. I do not want to be that person. The reason why is because if you're telling grown people to alter their lives because of a wish that was unfulfilled by you, I don't think that's fair. It's not. It's not fair. Because you're asking that person to upheave their life to help carry on something that probably means nothing, won't accomplish anything. Now, I'm talking about these meaningless things like watch out for people who are no good, or throw their money behind foolishness, or pay attention to the wrong belief or doctrine when you know in your mind your whole adult life that it was BS. All of a sudden, Aunt Sally dies, or getting ready to die, and you love Aunt Sally. You knew all these years that whatever it was BS. Aunt Sally could have been taking care of a lazy person. Aunt Sally could be believing the wrong things, doing the wrong things with her money and everything else. And what does Aunt Sally ask you to do on her deathbed? For you to continue on with this when you knew for years it was garbage. Now, you're thinking in your mind, probably because you're programmed wrong, that if you honor the dead by carrying this on, even though deep down you know it's wrong, you're thinking that once you pass away, it's going to be a blessing in whatever eternity that you're going to go to. Well, I've got a news flash for you. When you do something wrong and you know it's wrong, no matter what anybody else tells you, guess what? You're going to be judged for it. So that's why I don't do deathbed confessions, because I don't know what place that person is coming from. And I think it's disrespectful for you to ask a grown person who has a life of their own, a productive life of their own, to turn around and flip it upside down and continue some, excuse my French, some bullshit you started. No, it's not right. So I talk about the helper's backup, because there are some cases where you have a person that's been enabling somebody in the family, perpetuating a belief or behavior, or kind of helping someone who has not helped themselves. And I speak specifically about a situation. And they turn around and ask somebody else who has a life of their own to continue to look out for that person. And without going into detail as to what happened, those things never work out well. They never do. So for those of you who are in those situations, aware of those situations, please review that video. It's the helper's backup that aired on Wednesday. And on Thursday, I talk a little bit. I bring up a scenario about an adult child who has been lying about their living and their lifestyle. It's just a message to adult kids about self-sufficiency, about if you've been lying about being in school or work or your situation to your family because you're afraid of what they think, or because of how you were programmed, you're afraid they won't understand. It's best for you just not to say anything at all than to lie. And I hate to say that, but in some families, they just, parents aren't understanding. And I get that. Not every single parent is understanding and accepting of their children. I get that. And some children are under so much pressure that they feel they can't talk to them and tell them what's going on. So they lie. Once upon a time, that was me. Not saying there was anything wrong with my parents, but I'm just saying that the way that we were raised, there was a certain dynamic. And when I got involved in certain things, I was so ashamed of my situation that I lied about it. And there's a consequence for that, because you will suffer as a result of it. So that was a message in regards to adult kids. Please check that out. Maybe it will be helpful. And on Friday, misguided loyalty. And this is basically a general message about people who are donating their time and their resources and, their emotions to the wrong people in their lives. That there are people who have been around in their lives who wanted that same attention and never got it. And they wind up giving it to people who take advantage of it and use them. And the end result is that they wind up going back to the people that they mistreated in hopes that they can get that respect. And it's too little too late in a lot of cases. So please check that out. Friday was misguided loyalty. Saturday, which was yesterday, more information on education. I did a couple of videos about the importance of education. And I'm not saying not necessarily college. It could be technical school, skills, or anything like that. We live in an ongoing society about technology. And I actually watched a video the other day, and I don't know the name of that, new robot that was created by Tesla. And I watched the video about it, and if I find that link, I'm going to post it either in the community or maybe in this video. Spirit help me. I got too many thoughts today, y'all. But anyway, Tesla's been working on a robot that has human capabilities. And of course, you already know that in a lot of industries, robots are already being used to replace the workforce. And now they're using a humanoid type robot is operated by artificial intelligence. And the robot actually moves like a human being, literally. Even down to the hand motions, and using your hands, very sensitive. They're perfecting that. And these robots are going to be replacing people in certain industries. So if you don't take the time to learn or upgrade your skills or consider another career, you're going to be one of these people who's lost their job, and you're going to be living God knows where, doing God knows what. Some of you will take it to the extreme and don't want to be around anymore. because you have so many obligations that you have no way of figuring out how you're going to take care of them. And that's the truth. It used to be a situation back in the day where you watch Star Wars or Star Trek or the Jetsons, and it was just a fantasy, and it's not a fantasy anymore. If you check out my channel, the PeachyPathfinder, I did a visit to the Virginia Air and Space Museum a few weeks ago. And I went to the IMAX theater because included in the admission, you actually get a ticket to the IMAX theater. They have 2 different screens. And the one that I watched, the movie that they aired that day, was about, automation and how, transportation and infrastructure is changing. And in some countries, they are working on air taxis, which is an alternative to having to deal with traffic on the roads. So now scientists are trying to work on ways of reducing carbon emissions, using less fossil fuels, eliminating traffic on the roads so much energy won't be used, and reducing the time frame for people to commute every day. And they're working on that, and they actually have prototypes for these air taxis. So if you're flying in the air, you already know this. If you're in an airplane, you can get to places much faster because you don't have traffic lights, you don't have traffic jams, you don't have things like that. You're just in the air. You just have some birds and some clouds, and you can just go. And they're trying to make it where it's affordable and commercial. And they've shown versions of these. It's like a combination of a very small jet with helicopter propellers, and I mean they're literally making these now in California, and in other countries they're already testing them. So I wouldn't be surprised in my lifetime if I would be on an air taxi. So also I saw another video the other day online about how a lot of these fast food places, they're not hiring workers anymore. They showed the robot dropping fries and making burgers. They showed, like, with the delivery services now you've got people that are delivering food for you, like Instacart and Grubhub and Uber Eats. You go on the app, you order the food, and some guy or female, whoever it is, picks it up and goes and does it. Well, now they're inventing robots now. The fast food restaurants are inventing robots that are even going to do the deliveries for you. And they have these little small, these miniature versions of cars, that they're not quite the size of a car, but it's like a motorized cart that is programmed where they take the food after it's prepared out the restaurant, you program the address, and that robot actually takes it. So it's going to be a matter of time where we won't even need the people who are doing delivery. They won't have a job. And I'm not saying these things to scare people. The information is out there. There are dozens of YouTube videos, dozens of articles online about this where they're looking into this right now. I know Chick-fil-A is already looking at a prototype of a robot to deliver food to people's houses. And if they use the robot and it's successful, and I believe Domino's Pizza already has that going on in California, just to name a couple of the common franchises that people use. But if they're doing that, then they won't need people to deliver stuff to your house. You don't have to worry about your orders being messed up. You don't have to worry about them being delayed. And the use of robots, you don't have to worry about people calling out sick and coffee breaks and things like that. I do a customer service job myself, and plenty of times I'll talk to people on the phone, and they're impressed to have a live person to talk to. They're really shocked to hear that because they're so used to listening to automated. And some people are appreciative of it, and some people are just simply shocked and indifferent about it. But who's to say in the short period of time, because I'm looking at retiring in the next 9 years, who's to say that it won't be a matter of time that my job might become automated? I don't know. I have no idea. In the meantime, I'm going to give 110% while I'm there. But we don't know what the direction of technology is going to be. I uploaded a TikTok clip, and you guys want to check out my TikTok, where I went to, after I got my nails done a couple weeks ago, I went to my favorite little Mexican restaurant across the street where I normally go to every month when I get my, spa stuff done. And The waiter came and took the order, but when it was time to serve the food, there was this little robot that was delivering the food. Now, so you're like, okay, well, that doesn't take a job. Yes, it does, and I'm going to tell you how it works. You go into a restaurant, you don't have enough servers to service the table. You only got 1 or 2 people, and you got 30 tables. Well, I used to wait tables. So when you wait tables, you are issued a certain station, and in your station you might have 6 tables. Those 6 tables belong to you no matter what, whether they're empty or full. They belong to you during that shift. Your job is to take care of the customer from beginning to end. So the time that I went, it was coming up on lunchtime, and this gentleman had this, had this going on. And what happens is when it gets busy in a lot of restaurants, they have what's called an expediter back in the kitchen. You people that work in the food service industry verify this. And what the expediter's job would do is that's the person who would collect the orders for you. They don't go out to the tables or anything else, but when it gets busy, they'll have the expediter. That's the person who just stands at the window, puts everything together. And you've seen it on some of the restaurant shows where you see the manager or assistant manager just calling out orders to the waiters. They don't take out anything unless it's absolutely necessary, but they put everything together so that way when the waiter or the waitress comes back there, all they have to do is just grab the food and keep going. They don't have to put the silverware on the table. They don't have to put the sauces on the tray. They don't have to put the garnishes on. That's already done because the expediter has already organized it, and he has to do that because you have multiple orders. Make sure everything's in order. If there's a problem with the order, the expediter is the one that sends it back to the cook to have it done. So by the time the waiter or the waitress, it just eliminates turnaround time, eliminates wait time. That's the old way of doing it. The new way of doing it now is you have the waiter or the waitress come out and place the order. The waiter can go out and make 6 orders. Well, if you got this robot, and the robot is shaped like a little round drum, and it's kind of like R2-D2. And for those of you who don't know who R2-D2 is, watch Star Wars. But he had a body shaped like an oil drum. And this particular robot is shaped like an oil drum, but in the body part is cut out into shelves, 3 different shelves. Those are temperature controlled shelves to keep the food on. So in other words, the robot can help serve food to 2 to 3 different tables at a time because of the way it's designed. If you're a human being, you can't do that. You either need an extra person to help you out, or you're going to have to make multiple trips, and that's time consuming. So what that does is that reduces the amount of time. So when it was time for me to eat, when I first got there, wasn't that many people. There was only maybe 2 people, 2 different tables. But by the time I got ready to eat, which wasn't that long because it was lunchtime, half the restaurant was full. And you only had 2 waiters, and I think 2 or 3 on, each side of the restaurant. And I said to myself, how in the world these people are going to do it? All of a sudden I see these robots following behind them. So I'm assuming what happens is when they, and I don't know, is that when they put the orders into the computer, is that it automatically goes to the robot. And then if you look at the back of the robot as it goes away, it has a number on the back of it, and that's probably the table number that's programmed in. But it's amazing because these people were getting things like fajitas, and for those of you who don't know about fajitas, they have to be served hot. So instead of a person coming out on the tray and wearing themselves down and risk dropping this stuff or risk getting burned by the hot food or anything, you put it on the robot. This robot had my order on the first shelf and had fajitas on the second shelf, and on the bottom shelf, he was able to serve 3 tables at one time. And this is happening. And and I live in Eastern Virginia, and this is just a small mom and pop family franchise. They have a few locations in the area. I think a total of 3 or 4. I think they opened up a 4th one not too long ago, but they're very good. So if that's happening with a mom and pop restaurant, you can imagine what's happening with a multi-million-dollar corporation. They are using these things, people. And it's useful because you can have the robots running 24 hours a day. If you have an operation, let's say like Amazon, and I'm not saying if they're doing this or not, but I did see some videos where they were doing it in certain areas. So I don't know if all of them have started doing it yet. But they can run a 24-hour operation with these things. Don't have to worry about sick time, vacation time. They don't have to worry about coffee breaks, being late, getting sick and leaving early. They don't have to worry about insubordination or anything like that. And they can use these people to do this work. So thank you for the other person who came in. So I talk about more on education, which was the one that came out yesterday, because you might want to level up on your skills and be one of the people who has the knowledge enough to program the robots. Because even though the robots are there, you still need people to program them. You still need people to guide them and move them. They're doing some construction in downtown Newport News. And for those of you who ever seen the people who do the streets, you know, when they lay down the tar and the gravel, they use this little rolling thing. You know, back in the day, it used to be a fella in a big machine with the huge roller that would press down the tar and the asphalt into the ground before they lay the other layers. Well, now, I passed by there the other day, and they had this little sucker. And I mean, it must have been about maybe, I want to say 3-4 feet tall. It was a miniature version of the same thing rolling, but the construction worker was walking behind it with this thing that looks like a game controller. I guess it was like a remote to control it, so it could do the work. And it's moving faster. And this guy, and they don't have to buy the big, huge piece of machinery, so they're saving a ton of money doing that, or lease it or whatever it is. So those are obsolete now. You get this little guy to do the same thing, who can maneuver a little bit better because it's smaller, and also can move a little faster. And the person, you don't have to worry about the person damaging it because they're going too slow or going too fast. You don't have to worry about those things because that person's not in danger. They're just walking behind it with a remote to make sure that it goes in the right direction. And this is what's happening on our public streets right now, people. And you notice the next time you pass by a construction site where they're working on the roads, look and see how many remote machines that they're using right now. It's amazing. So what you might want to do is upgrade your skills where you'll know how to operate these things. So it's not like you won't have a job, but you're just going to have to level up and adjust to the changes that's going to happen with technology. And for that, and there are some people who just don't have that mentality. They don't want to do that. Another thing in regards to technology too is how we handle money. You know, I did some looking around at some places and things the other day, and a lot of them require that you pay your rent online. You know, once upon a time, not too long ago, I would pay with either a check or a money order. It's to the point now where a lot of places that you rent from or you know, lease from, they don't want a check or a money order because they have to wait for that money to clear. They want you to go into the online portal and pay your rent or your mortgage or your, you know, or whatever for your lodging. And if you don't have the technology or the wherewithal to even do that, where you could do it online, you're going to be in trouble as far as having a place to stay. These are changes that occur through life, you know, and that's a part of life. You know, it's going to continue to change. 10 years from now, it's going to be more different than it is now. 10 years after that, you know, providing that I'm still here, you know. So it's more in education, you know. So those are my 7 videos from last week. I do hope that they help out to anyone who might be a little bit stuck and stagnant right now. Because as long as you live, you will have to learn. You know, people who have the mentality, because I'm over 50 years old, and there are a lot of people my age who are so stuck in their ways they actually believe that it's over with for them. It is not. You learn something different every single day. Yes, you may have certain things about your personality that may be, you know, that's the way it is because of how you conduct yourself. I get that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're dealing with society, you're going to have to accept the fact that people, you know, that things change and that society is an ongoing, you know, civilization is going to change. It's going to evolve whether you choose to believe it or not. And even though you might depend on your grandchildren or your children or whoever it is to take care of it for you, they may not be available because they have lives of their own. And I don't want to place that burden on my children. I don't. You know, I'm a child of the Most High just like you are. And you should be willing to learn and accept the changes and understand that they could benefit you and that they're not a threat. They're not a threat. So that's basically it for today. I think that's all we've got going on. Oh, I did mention that I was going to talk about current events, and I'm not going to go too much detail about it because there's too much. There's a whole bunch of information about it already. But for those of you who watch the news, you realize that there were 2 school shootings in 2 areas this week. One was in Georgia, my home state. It was a suburb about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta, very small town. That's receiving a whole lot of attention. And then not even the very next day, I want to say less than 24 hours later, something happened not too far from Baltimore. I want to say the name of the place is Joppatown. I think that's how you pronounce it. But there was a shooting there. Wasn't as much loss of life because there was only 1 person who died. But in Georgia, there were a total of 4 people who passed away as a result. And both of the perpetrators, the one in Georgia was 14, and I believe the one in Maryland was 15 or 16. And the reason why I bring these up, because I'm not going to go into the details about it, and I'm not going to bother posting links in the description because there's so much publicity about it right now, is I want to address the way the states handle things. One thing in my political system I do have a gripe about is that we've got 50 states and a couple of territories, and everybody's doing their own thing as far as administering punishment for crimes. And I don't think that's right. You can disagree with me if you want. I don't think that's right. I think we need to have a uniform system of punishment throughout all territories and all states. No matter what state you go to, you're going to get the same sentence. And the reason why I say that is because criminals aren't stupid. If you have a career criminal, and you hear these stories all the time, you watch it on these cable networks about how somebody committed a whole bunch of crimes and then went to another state, started a whole new life, laid low for a little while, and then right back to doing the same thing over again in another state. And they've done this 2 or 3 times in their life in several states. It's not fair. The fact that they could go over the border and take that same evil, negative, demonic energy and ruin lives is not fair. So we need to have, I believe, a uniform system of law. And because of this, you've got people that are like me who, some of them get extremely frustrated. I get frustrated, but I don't do it to a certain level. But some people have taken a vigilante attitude in regards to crime. They don't even bother picking up the phone and calling the police. They just handle it themselves, and they just let the chips fall where they may, because they know that in their state of residence, the person who perpetrated the crime is going to get a slap on the wrist, and they can't live with it. So we need to have a universal form of punishment. I believe in this country, it's time for it. And if we had a universal form of punishment in this country, then maybe the criminals might think twice about committing a crime, because they know they would have nowhere to go. They couldn't just cross over the border and everything's okay. No, you need to serve your time. You need to face the punishment, whether you're in Georgia or whether you're in Wyoming. Reason why I say this is because I was looking at both of the stories in regards to the shooting. The one that occurred in Georgia occurred first. Now, in my home state of Georgia, they don't look lightly. They don't take it lightly in regards to any type of assault. If there's a loss of life, the state of Georgia, if they've got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and have somebody go to court, they're going to do that. They're not going to have you hanging around till Monday or anything like that. If I'm not mistaken, the son and the son's father, because the son's father was responsible for giving the child a weapon, knowing the child was disturbed, without going into details. And that whole family dynamic was just a huge mess. There was some bullying involved and everything else. But they were taken into court, I believe it was Friday. And on Saturday, we were back in court again. Now, a lot of places, they won't even open the courtroom until Monday. But see, this is how adamant they were in the state of Georgia to get this situation resolved. They didn't care if it was Saturday. They didn't care if Thanksgiving dinner was on the table. That's just the attitude that they have down there. You want to take a life? Fine, we're going to deal with you. If I got to get out my pajamas and put on some Uggs and then put on my robe at 2 o'clock in the morning and deal with your behind, we're going to deal with you. And I appreciate that. The sense of urgency to remove this cancer, and I use that term as a euphemism, to remove this cancer from society. Look, we're not going to take any chances or wait until Monday for nothing. You didn't give those people a break when you took their life, so why should we give you a break as far as punishing you? Now, as far as Maryland goes, oh, well, we're going to do it at such and such a time. No. See, they handle it a little bit different because their state has different laws. Their capital punishment laws are different than the state of Georgia. Excuse me. If you notice in some states, you notice that a lot of states that have capital punishment is still located in certain parts of the country, without going into detail. And am I proponent for capital punishment? In some cases, I am. In some cases, I'm not. Yes, I'm aware of mental health issues, and thank you for the people that are coming in. Yes, I'm well aware of mental health issues and things like that, but sometimes there are some acts that are committed where if mental health was addressed prior to those acts, they wouldn't be to the place where it is. When there's a loss of life, and the fact that we have different rules in different states in regards to punishment, a lot of these criminals know this. You have a lot of cold cases because of this. You have a lot of missing persons because of this, because of the lack of continuity in regards to punishment in each one of the states. We need to have one set of laws in this country. Now, for those of you who want to chime in on it, feel free to do so. But if a person does something wrong and they realize they have nowhere to go, eventually they have no choice but to face the music. And right now we have too many ways for criminals to commit crimes. You go to Florida and commit a crime, and then by the time you get to Georgia, you build a new life, get a new identity and everything else, and then you lay low for a while, and then all of a sudden you commit the same crime again. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of other people's lives. You're a menace to society. You're a menace. And a lot of these criminals know this. So in regards to dealing with loss of life, there needs to be a uniform set of laws, period. You want to turn around and kill 6 people in South Carolina and go to Oklahoma? Oklahoma said, you're going to jail, buddy. That's the way it should be. Because something needs to be in place. And just check out the stories, both the stories. Now, in the case of the person in Maryland, I believe there was an altercation between the shooter and someone else. I believe there was a fight in the restroom, if I'm not mistaken. Don't get me wrong, because 2 of these stories, they just blew me away because these people are so young. But it's happening too often. And the powers that be want to have these, discussions about take the guns off the street. I have a news flash for you, and I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm not saying I'm against gun control, I'm not saying either one. I'm just saying this: if somebody has it in their mind to do something regardless of what the law says, they're going to do it. Free will. It might be a little difficult for them, but if they got the mindset that they want that thing, and they've got the money to do it, they're going to do it. And I'm sorry if it hurts anybody's feelings. Oh, well, at least if they take the guns off the street, it'll slow it down. It'll slow it down, but it won't stop it. Because if you have somebody so disturbed that they got it in their mind they're going to hurt somebody, they're going to figure it out. If they're not going to do it with a gun, they're going to do it with a knife, they're going to do it with a bomb, they're going to do it. So the mindset needs to change. We need to have more regulations in place in regards to mental health. And I mean, I've heard this, but I haven't seen anything. There's a whole bunch of propaganda out there about it. Oh, we need to address mental illness. We need to address mental illness, but nothing's been implemented yet. Nothing's been implemented. And there is no guarantee that they're going to receive that help once they're incarcerated, because each facility, you don't know what their resources are. You don't know what their protocol is. And I think I shared in a previous audio as well as here on live, that when I was in grad school, one of my professors actually worked. I was in Chicago going to Roosevelt University at the time, and one of my professors was actually formerly a prison psychiatrist, worked in the Cook County penal system, but left because the workload was so atrocious. The demands were so high. There was no way in the world he was going to see 30 or 40 patients in one shift. And that's the type of workload that he was given. So it got to the point where he was like, no, you know what, I'm just better off just, taking my credentials and just, do a little counseling on the side and just do some teaching. Because this is too much. I can't accomplish anything doing this. Receiving pressure from both sides to try to help someone in minutes, because it's literally minutes. If you've got 30 to 40 people a day and you're working these shifts, I mean the demand, and then you've got the institution that's giving you this job that's requiring that you see so many people. They have a quota of how many people they're supposed to see. And not to mention the mountain of paperwork that they have to submit. It was too much. It was infringing on their lifestyle. I mean, it was just too much pressure. And that's why you hear of a lot of people in those professions in the behavioral sciences. They either have to wind up going to therapy themselves, or unfortunately, in the most extreme cases, a lot of them develop habits themselves that they know they shouldn't be involved in just to keep going in order to maintain their profession. So that goes to show right there that nobody's perfect. So anyway, let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email. My email address is PeachyPathfinder@gmail.com. I also have another email, which is REGGIRT, REGGIRT, @myyahoo.com. Please reach out to me and let me know how you feel about that. And thank you again for your support every single day. Content is flowing through. I'm actually working on, I've already finished October's videos. I'm getting ready to work on November, believe it or not. So I'm trying to stay ahead so I can keep you guys in the loop. For those of you who are subbed to my channel, who are brand new, welcome. For those of you who have been there, welcome again. I'm just going to keep it going until I can't keep it going anymore. So again, thank you for your support. I offer you all peace, protection, prosperity, and power. Have a great day.